Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Welcome on into the Dragon's Den. My name's Digital Dragon, your host for this evening. And yes, this is a coffee and lube stream. However, I don't have coffee right now. I was going to make some, but Mrs. Dragon said she's bringing some when she comes back. Hopefully it's before 8 o'clock. She's got the credit card and she's down at Ecovate buying filament. So God only knows. It's going to be a dangerous combination. But welcome on in, everybody. I posted a little bit of a teaser out there to be like, hey, what is going on in the Dragon Den? There's a mess all over the workbench. Actually, how I left it last night and never touched it today. But yeah, I've been doing a little bit of work on the off stream, working on getting a few more things printed, getting some stuff put onto the machine we're going to show you. And earlier today, I took my lunch break from work and went downstairs. And let me tell you, cutting 12 millimeter hardened steel chromed rods, it's fun. Death Wheel was in action. I'll get, Death Wheel, aka a angle grinder, because I wasn't going to use the new metal cutting saw on that. It says it cuts mild steel. I don't know about hardened steel or chrome plated stuff, so I decided to go with the angle grinder. It wasn't too bad, but it's a lot harder to go through 12 millimeter rod than it is to go through 8 millimeter. Hey, Eagle the Dragon, welcome in. Timor, welcome in. Liberdade, welcome in. But yes, that's kind of what we got going on, is a little bit of stuff here. And like I said, it is a coffee and lube stream. So I believe somebody is out there lurking, and she may notice, especially if I get the camera tilted right. Come on, work with me. You may notice that in this whole quagmire of stuff, there's some super lube. Gloves. And there's some rails. Now I will tell you, I already did the rails. I lubricated those last night, and I decided to hold off on the 12 millimeter linear bearings until today. But yeah, let's work on getting a little bit of this straightened up so we can bring the printer that we're working on up here today. And also, I will say, we started printing some chips. So we've got the silver ones. This one, I had a complete nozzle clog on. Don't know why. I don't know if I think what happened was the door got shut over time and it clogged the nozzle up like the other one did. So I've just got to swap the nozzle. But I've got some really cool raindrop effect chips going. I'm going to switch over the plate here in a minute and do some more on the other side, which will be a different pattern. Mrs. Dragon might be picking up a few more plates while she's down at Ecovate today. So we get that out of the way. We've got a few skirt panels here that I don't know if we're going to use all of these, or we'll be selecting different ones. Kind of doing some piecemeal there, so I'm just going to get these really out of the way because I don't think I'm going to use those yet. Some of my 5 millimeter hardware. We will be using one of these displays. Now this was a different color scheme. I just did a print swap, basically took the old one apart, put the new one together. Very basic. If you see me do any of the Voron kits, you'll know how that goes together. Getting more screws and some angle brackets in. Belts will go there. Let's see, what all do we have? Just trying to move some things off to the side. The parts and stuff here I'm not too worried about because I can just take my mat, move it back a little bit, And we'll just put the printer right over the top of it, and we'll have plenty of room to work with stuff underneath it. Because we're going to be working on the RIFF. And this is the RIFF 600. So 300 millimeters this way, 600 millimeters this way. So let me raise y'all up here so you can get a little bit better idea of what we're dealing with here. So 300 millimeters this way, 600 millimeters. We'll have two build plates side by side. This side is technically the front of the printer, though we'll have all the controls on the side over there. I've got the mains outlet back here. It will be feeding two different power supplies, one for bed 1 and the main controller. The other one's going to be running bed 2. It will be dual 24 at the moment. I just ordered them. It's going to be dual 24 volt. They are Creality Creality CR10 size beds. So I believe it's 310 by 310. Going to go here. Okay. We'll be able to just use the one if we're doing just standard print, and if we're going to do a big long print, we can light up both beds. Hey sis, how's it going? These cross pieces have not been fully locked in yet. One, because they seem like they're a little short, so I might have to grow them a couple of millimeters, or something. We'll figure that out a little bit later. For now, it's just in there for visualization for me. So once again, the back side here is where I'm going to do the power inlet. And on this side, up at the front, opposite end of this, is, as in this side right here, is where I'll have the keystone jacks, and I'll have like a USB and an Ethernet jack over here in case I ever want to take this somewhere and run it on my router or something. But, sorry, you'll see I've got a rail up here. It's in here somewhat loosely. Apparently one of them's a little bit too tight. Yeah, this is a 650 millimeter long rail. Kind of a huge chunky boy. We're going to need to add the other one over there. We've got our x-axis. This is a Cartesian printer. We'll have dual Y motors running, the Y, and then a X motor. So it's going to be similar to an Ender 5, just a little bit bigger. So that rail is nice and smooth. But yeah, how's everybody doing? Hopefully you all are doing well. I didn't tighten this down yet because I need to figure out where I'm putting it. And to do that, I needed to get my motor mounts printed. So normally your motor mounts would go on the top or on the outside to give you full print volume. We'll still get full print volume, and these are going to mount in here in the corner. M5 through there and an M5 through the side here of the printed part. And that's actually going to give us a more structural connection that way. Let me put that there. We'll need these a little bit later. So far what we've got is I've got 4 motors down here at the 4 corners. Okay. Those are standard NEMA 17 words on stream. Standard NEMA 17 motors. They're stepper online motors, right? I've had a box of them sitting over there in the corner for a while, I decided, okay, today's rainy day. We'll break them out. We'll use them on this project. There may be an upgrade coming later on for the Y motors here in the form of something else, but we'll see. And we're going to be using M5x10 button heads, I believe, on these. Pop one in here and we'll see. Yes. M5x10 button heads. But this is a design by, dang it, I'm going to have to use my, give me 1 second, folks. I got to go grab my ball head drivers because those are a little bit too big around to go through that hole. Hopefully the ball end driver works fine. If not, we'll have to just enlarge the hole, because why not? How's it going, bearded printer? I saw you sneak in there. As Liz is lurking, that's not allowed. Power nap? Oh, okay. Sing a lullaby? All right, well, get your power nap in and let me know when you're back so we can lubricate some bearings. So because of the way these mount, we need to, wow, did I get that line? Holy cow, I got that lined up by eyeball without even, that was amazing. Yeah, well, we got to lubricate your bearings. Wake up. Maybe you'll hear me put the gloves on. How's it going, Da Vinci? Welcome in. Long time no see. Wanted to stop in and say hello? Well, hello. On to your second job. What's up with the second job, sis? You acting like a broke actor or something? I'm just teasing. Hey, Westry, how's everything going with the house? Are they still giving you the runaround and stuff, or are you able to rejoin adult life soon? Be lurking in a few? Okay. All I'm doing is getting the screw started on the one roll-in T-nut and then bringing this over into the corner, getting it lined up and tightening it down. It's going to be flush with the top. And of course, now I'm going to have to take it back out because the other one, or not take it back out, but loosen up some because the other one was too far back there. This color scheme here is bamboo black ASA and Polymaker, I believe that's Galaxy Red, but let me double, triple check. Could be Galaxy Red with all the sparkles on it. Yes, Galaxy Red ASA. So rear motors are in place. These are the rods that I had to cut down. So we'll say this is the factory end here. I can get it to show. You can see where they trim that down on a lathe. And then here's my edge. Cut with my angle grinder, and then I ground it smooth on a grinding belt. Put a little bit of a chamfer on it. And I'm going to put my cut end here. Make sure it seats all the way down in there. And we've got our covers. And the way these go on there is they'll slide on the top, and we'll rotate them around, and we'll line them up and go in from the bottom. Now that's the part that might cause me some problems, because he says to lay it down, and that will cause a problem with all the parts that are still sitting. This back corner. Oh, I don't want to put those on just yet, because that would give me some problems, because I haven't put these on yet, which means I need my bearings, which means we're going to have to do lube time early, Liz. Is that what we want to do? Do we want to do this first? Yeah, let's do these first. Why not? We're going to go ahead and lube some bearings. We've got our gloves, got our super lube, and if it feels like I'm just kind of doing weird and wonky stuff without regard for any specific order, it's because I am. And that's partly because, yeah, there's no manual for this. It's just, here's the printed parts. D4 Projects is the designer of this printer design, and he is just releasing videos and stuff as he goes through and builds things. So just trying to make sure I know where I'm putting certain things. All right, all four tops are there. These are bed mounts. Put those there. Bearing blocks, spare bearings, idlers, full jig. These will there. These will have to get out of the way if I move this on the side. Just put these somewhere where they don't get bent. Bent, aka wobbly lead screws, never a good thing. This is an alignment jig. We will use this to ensure that our rod is straight up and down when we go to do our tying these in. And it works on both sides just by flipping it around. We'll just, like I said, make sure that our rods are nice and straight when we do the rod caps. What else? What are we doing? Thought process, mental process. A lot to put in place there. We get this other 650 millimeter thing out of the way here. And the standard rail for a Voron. We will lubricate some bearings. And we're going to do this, I'll say, kind of the old-fashioned way, because the cap that I have on my Super Lube here, which is the one I normally use to do all of my LM style bearings, my linear bearings, it's designed for LMU 8/8s, and these are not, these are 12s, so we'll do it the old-fashioned way, which is squirt a bunch of grease in it, and then use the rod itself to pack that grease into the ball bearing channels. Now, some people will take these and soak them in alcohol and then try and blow them out with air. I'm not. I'm just going to grease them in place. We're going to start that by putting a finger over the end. And like I said, we're just going to squeeze a bunch of goop in there. Make it all nice and messy. We'll grab a rod. Slide this down on the rod, keeping our finger on the back. We'll feel the pressure start to build. And there's the excess. Now what we can do is take that excess and just kind of poke it into the next one. Get our finger over that. Squeeze some more grease in there. Same rod. Feel pressure build up. If you feel like you didn't get enough grease in there, pop it out, add some more in there, but I think we're good there. And this, my friends, is why you wear gloves when doing this. So you're just trying to get a whole bunch of grease up in there. Slide your rod on there. You'll feel that pressure start to build. And that's what you want, because that's forcing all of that lubricant into the channel where the ball bearings are. And that's packing those bearings. Then we'll wipe the ends of them off here in a minute. Yeah, that one's going to need some more. Okay. Now you'll know why I have a bunch of rags around here, and that's to clean up any of the excess lubricant. Doesn't do us any good to have it all over that rod, because it really needs to be in the channels where the balls are at. These are just going to slide down in there. And where are we going? We're going this way. Other two are going to go over there. Those right there for now. Going to try and clean some of this excess grease off of here. Needs to have a tooth removed. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. All right. Good enough, fair enough. Now our other two rods, we've already got on our front support plate. So what we have here is we've got our standard L bracket with the lead screw nut, the holder for the whatchamacallit, and then you'll notice that this is twisting around. So this is a 625 bearing that's captured here. There is a printed spacer in the middle, and then it's attached with an M5 by 16 bolt. Okay, and what that is going to allow us to do is have some degree of movement here and not over constrain the bed. So I'm going to take these, set them in there. I am a little concerned because I printed these in ABS and they didn't seem to shrink up that much, and these seem a little loose to me in these carriages, so we'll have to see. And the other thing is I just kind of wagged on the spacing on here. I just put that on backwards. Let me take that back off. I'll spin this around again. Set this back down on here in the correct orientation. Oh, there's a joke in there. There we go. Just like that. You normally spray them with WD-40, dry them, oil and grease. Cleans out all the dirt and rubbish. Yep. That it should. That it should too. So we've got our four pieces here. And once again, this is going to allow this to not bind and slide up and down with relative ease. And we'll give it the ability to adjust on the lead screws. Once again, there's no lead screws in here. Once we get the lead screws, that slop will be taken care of. Now, you'll notice, as I just said, there's no lead screws on here yet. The reason being is I'm waiting for some thrust washers. So what we're going to do at the joints here is I've already got spacers in here. I'm going to put in a set of thrust washers, and then I'll have oh, I've got plenty of LMU 12 bearings there. We're going to use the excuse me. We're going to use the compression style fittings. I like these a little bit better than the springing ones, and the thrust washers are going to provide that extra little supported gap there to transfer the axial load, because you're going to have the weight of the bed coming down on here. It's the only reason that we're using them. So yeah, we can go ahead and put these on. I probably should have done that before I put those on, but what the heck. And I'll pop them off and put the thrust washers on as soon as they come in. I ordered them and they're supposed to be here tomorrow. So we shall see. We shall see. And that was my only concern with these not being super, super tight, is them staying down in there. I'll have to reach out to the designer about that. Either that or reprint this with just a little smidge of reduced size to help tighten things up. Hey, Wick Allen, how's it going? Day is done finally. Nice. Nice. It's always good when the day is done. And while I've got these on here, before we do anything else, let me go ahead and put the stoppers on the top. And to do that, I'm going to lay this over on its side. And of course, my mouse is the one thing that was in the way. So laying that over on its side, that's going to allow me to get into the top edges here with some M5 nuts to tighten the top supports down. Okay. So we get a couple of M5 roll-in T-nuts. Hey, Happy Manufacturing, how's it going? I'm just going to push these out to the side so when I get this in place, and let me pull some more of the goop off of here. I need to keep all that excess there. Once again, we're going to take this, flip it on that rod, rotate it around. Now we can line things up. And the way I'm doing this, I actually cut my rods a little bit shorter, a little bit shorter than they needed to be, rather than trying to get an exact size. Because, well, we all know that trying to get anything exact size, you're going to sit here and cut multiple times. I'm going to take my jig here. I'm going to put it on there, and it should ride right along this post the whole way. And where it starts to get tight, where I'll nudge this over at the top a little bit if need be. Push that one over. Tighten that up. Now that shows that we are in alignment, top to bottom, front to back. Now we'll go over and do this side. Once again, we'll make sure to take off any of the excess goop. All it's going to do is collect dust and stuff, so might as well get it out of the way now. Twist that on, and let me throw in my two M5 T-nuts. I seem to be getting better at lining these things up. Measure twice, cut 3 times. Yeah, that's basically what it is, you know. Lined. Back that back out. We'll slide this one back. Get it lined up and started. We'll use our alignment tool again. Line up down here and just keep going forward. Making sure everything's lined up all the way. Lock it in. So those two sides are done. Now we're going to take it and flip it over 180 degrees so we can get to the other side. Okay. And now we'll do these other two rails. Close enough for government work there. Just close enough to get it started, and then we'll So how's everybody doing today? Hopefully everybody's doing good. I myself have had a pretty good day. Oh, that one, I think that one missed. Well, darn it. Where did you go? Try that again. Placing a bearing housing on a machine. Okay. I mean, sounds like a potentially fun task in a not so typically fun way. Okay. One last one to go. Get our two M5 roll-in T-nuts. Now, Mr. V4 Project, as he was doing this, was using a lot of preload, I'll say T-nuts, like the flat kind, like you would get at Open Builds or something. And I mean, it works if you know and you have the CAD, you know how many you're putting in where. I was being too lazy to sit there, follow, count, and do the whole 9 yards. So I just, did my normal and said, okay, roll-ins work? Gotcha. I'll use my roll-ins. As a last resort, I would do hammerheads. But I mean, it'd have to be a last resort. Okay. Industrial laundry stuff. Sorry about the cough, folks. Still working on that cold. Not sure if I fully caught it or not, but I am definitely trying to overachieve as far as that goes. Trying to make sure that all of my printed parts are nice and flush with the extrusion. Verifies that everything is nice and tight and in the center there. And there we go. Now we've got those 4 done. We'll bring this back up and around. Because we like the paint. Now what I did was I did 14 rolling nuts and M3 by 8 screws here. So we skipped every other one, and we've got 2 next to each other right here in the middle. Now my understanding was we want to line this rear side up with the face of the motor, I believe. Or with the face of the motor mount. And that is our location. Because remember, your tool head is going to stick forward of the rail. So we have plenty of room here. Now the other thing I just remembered is, because I pinged the designer about a couple of parts that were missing, and it just dawned on me that there's even more missing than what I was originally thinking, and that is the end stops. But I think they're the same exact end stops that I've used before. So you just need something that'll prevent the rail from coming off at the ends. So I'll just print up a couple of those. Once again, all of these are M3 by 8. I got this rail already installed. We'll do the other one here in a minute. Now you have an option when you're tightening these rails down. You can start at one end, and I would tighten all the way to the front, going just snug, and then come back and ugga it down all the way. Or you could start in the middle and work your way out. So any potential bow you're pushing to the end. Either way works, just don't start going around all over the place. Work in a methodical way, either from the center out to push any potential bow to the outside, or from one end to the other. Okay, this time I think I'm going to start, actually I'm going to start in the middle for a specific reason. And you see me going just finger tight here, and I will come back and snug these down afterwards. And what you're going to do is see me move my alignment tools down as I go, because what I'd really like to do is have like 4 of these so I can have them in place the whole length. But I don't. So this is the next best thing. And really, once we get it snug down by hand like this, I won't need to move it back to the center as I ugga dugga. So now that we're done, we're going to ugga dugga. Once again, in our pattern going from the inside outward. Already done, so that's what I wanted. Go this one. We did that one, right? Yep. This one. All right, so there we go. First rail on, running smooth. Now, I wipe these rails down with alcohol to clean off any of the shipping oil that was on them. I did try to rub a little bit EP2 on them. Didn't really appear to do much. So, what did I do with my 3-in-1 oil? No. Don't put thread cutting oil on it. Okay. I just want to get some type of light machine oil on here, because if we don't, these black oxide ones will tend to oxide more, which is AKA rust, depending on how they're done. If they were done with oil, they shouldn't necessarily rust, but no guarantees. So all I'm going to do is pop this off. This is my sewing machine oil, which is a light oil. And I'm just going to get a few drops on here. Using my finger, I'm going to rub that on there and get just the lightest coat of oil on here. And this is to protect the metal from continuing to oxidate. Some of these, if you don't do this and if you don't stay up on it, some people have sat there and watched their machines rust, which is kind of depressing. If there's any excess, I'm just going lightly over the top. And where did my other stopper go? Oh, there it is. Yeah. All we're doing, and it's just like, I'll say, if you ever clean a weapon after firing it, right? You're cleaning it, so you're using a solvent to break down that which was on it. And then you have to put a light coating of oil back on the metal parts, otherwise it'll rust and your weapon won't fire. Same thing with the sewing machine. If you don't put a light coat of oil on some of your metal parts, your exposed metal parts, they will rust. So now we need to take this, flip it 180 degrees again, and we'll do the same thing over here. Once again, we're going to need 14 M3 whatchamacallits, rolling T-nuts. Like I said, you could go in and use, do your M3 by 8s with hammerhead T-nuts, or put these on it and try and fish them through. All I'm going to do here is put it in the right orientation. And hello there, Miss Beans. How are you? Hey, Miss Beans. It's coffee and lube stream. Minus the coffee just yet. Mrs. Dragon hasn't come back with the coffee. She's got the credit card and she's at a filament store, which is bad. And I'm not trying to space these out. You've seen me try and space them out in the past. What I'm going to try and do is basically just uh, move them around and line them up as I put the screws in. On one this big, trying to get everything lined up is just kind of a pain. So okay, that should be 14. And we're going to need our other long rail. Excuse me. And like I said, what I've done in the past is I've taken this, kind of set it right next to it, and been like, okay, 1, 2, 3. Well, I lied. Maybe I am going to go through and do it this way. And I was one short. Slide this over. I'm not 100% lined up, but I'm going to be close enough that we can just slide it back and forth some as we're screwing things in. M3x8s. I had to go and get a bunch of these today. I got these and some M3x10s in. Keela. Uh-oh, did I miss Keela sneaking in here? What the heck? Hold on a second here. Who's all sneaking in here? Wick Allen, happy. There's Keela. How's it going, Keela? I'm sorry I missed you. I hope you're doing well. Just a very quick visit because you got a splitting headache and need to sleep because it's my MRI scan tomorrow. Well, take care of yourself, Miss Beans, please. Please, please, please. Yes, the shirt is amazing. I had it at the show, and Mrs. Dragon would not let me wear it at the show because she thought I might offend people. Apparently, she doesn't know the kind of people that I hang out with. We are not easily offended, are we? Once again, we're not trying to lock it down yet. We're just trying to make sure that we get all of our screws started. I guess it helps roll this back down to the bottom so I see when people late for coffee. For me, yeah, there's no such thing in my life. Coffee is an around the clock endeavor for me. Hopping off to bed? Okay. Oh, hey, before you go, Miss Beans, if you haven't left yet, if you haven't left, let me know. I want to show you something. Because I think you would like it. Your Flaquico shirt? Yeah, the Flaquico shirts were nice. I had so many people asking me, like, what is this Clee Day about? I was like, you haven't heard of Clee Day? Like, that's a staple in the boron community. But then again, it was, you know, a place that sells printers, not builds printers. Uh-oh, ad break. Okay, so it seems like Bexy's gone, but we will still do a quick show and tell once I get my fingers degreased a little bit. So, here's the, you know, my old logo coin, but that's the one we're going to roll with because I'm not going to do a redesign before the show. We were just completely ransacked out, but this is the old logo coin, you know, complete with QR code, right? And this is printed on a glacier sheet, right? So you get a little bit of a texture to it on the glacier sheet. And then, by the way, that's the one that clogged on me. And then we've got the gold one. Once again, that's the top side with the code, but check this out. This has the raindrop effect plate on it. And Mrs. Dragon is picking up a different plate as well. So we're going to start doing these on the reflective plates, and I'll do, like, after this next batch runs, I'm going to flip the plate over because there's different patterns on each side. So I'm sure glad you're building this printer because I started rummaging through my extra parts to start building. There you go, Timor. Exactly. I mean, why not, right? Why not? What are we looking for? We're looking for our alignment pieces here. And before I do that, I'm going to bring this rear edge right up in line with the motor mount. Just using Mark 1 eyeballs, you know, we're not going crazy here. And I'm going to take my alignment jigs and we're just going to kind of go, what? Dead center, 1, 2, third one out. Dead center, 1, 2, third one out. We'll go like that. That'll get us the good start. And once again, we're going to go from the center out. And we're just going to do the finger tightens. So if you haven't seen me do it, right? One finger just sitting on top lightly, and I'm just using 2 fingers until I get resistance. There we go. That's all I'm doing on this one, is just going until I feel the resistance of it snugging up. And this is making sure that all of our T-nuts are lining up in the channel and everything's getting snug. And then as we continue out, we'll move this along. That one was right? This will go over here. Snug that one. Snug that one. Okay, and there we go. Shirt's pretty awesome. Well, thank you. You have a Molex crimper. You have a Molex crimper like, oh, Molex crimper that I like. Okay, whoa. Whew. All right, I'll tell you this. Home workbench, right? I'm reaching right down here because I've got most used stuff on the bench. This is my Klein Tools stripper. Focus. Right? My Klein Tools stripper. And these are what used to be iWisps. They're now iCrimp. And I believe it's the, oh, come on, focus. Focus. IWS 2820M. Now, when you're using these, you crimp on the bare wire first, and then I normally go up one size more and crimp over the insulation. Now, these will work for JST, Molex. They'll work for the wire portion of DuPont. Do not use these to try and do the insulation portion of DuPont, because JST and Molex, right? You've got your prongs up, and all the wire portions do like this, right? They crimp down like that and make a heart. On a Molex and a JST, they come down like this as well on the insulation. On a DuPont connector, the part around the insulation is offset. So they roll over and interleave like that. So these iWisps do not work well for that. Now, all of that said, there was a set that I grabbed for my, I'll say, flyaway kit for the shows and the maker fair or maker meetup, stuff like that. Let me pull that up. Really? You're going to make me do that? Okay. Seriously? Like, made me prove that I was a human. And, oh my God, what the hell? What do you think? Okay, go away. I'm going to try and pull up the actual Amazon listing. That's what I'm trying to do right now. Problem is, I just order too many things on Amazon. Okay, so let me go here. These are some of the things that I put in my flyaway to go kit. There's a Sumline crimp tool connector kit. This is for JSTs. Okay. It has a bucket ton of JST connectors and DuPont connectors. So JST and DuPont, right? All different types down here. And it has a crimper. This crimper does both crimps at the same time. Focusing on strippers gets you in trouble. It depends. I'll just say that. Excuse me. So this is some line crimping toolkit. So it took me a little bit because this one you have to basically set the connector in the crimping tool and then put the wire in, and you're trying to gauge how far to get it in. But once you get used to it, it works well. I crimped a lot on Memorial Day down at Ecovate, rewiring a Boron V01. Okay, so that's one. The other kit I got was the Sumline ferrule crimping toolkit. So here's where we get the 2-for-1. This has wire strippers in it and the ferrule crimper, along with various types of ferrules. And you'll notice that they have the bare metal ferrules. They've got the standard single wire ferrules, and then they've got 2-into-1 ferrules. And I will tell you this, having used it at the maker meetup and a few times at the show and stuff, I was glad I had these two kits in my rolling toolbox that I take with me to Rep Rat festivals and the maker meetup. Sorry. They work really great. They really do. Yeah, I can't say enough about them. Other than that, you know, heat set inserts, bunch of different type screws and various other things that always make for a good thing in the toolkit. Okay, just look at the stuff that you use regularly and don't go and buy a bunch of individuals. Buy the kits that have the normal size that you're looking for. Okay, so in this case, 3, 8, 10, 12, 16, and that rate, like M3, 8, 10, 12, 16, up to 20. That's good for just about all your printers. M5, same thing. M5 by 8, 10, 12, 16. You're normally good there. Okay. So get different button heads, socket head, you know, what have you. I've got various ones that I throw in there. That way I'm not stealing my stash. The only reason these are in here instead of being in my desk caddy is because I was taking these to Ecovate for what's his name, Makesh, to use when he was building his auto eject systems. So it was more to have stuff there for him to use if he needed when he was building. And apparently I'm going to be building a couple now because none of the parts that he ordered arrived. So I will be building my own. I'll finish cutting extrusions and build my own. And then I will cut extrusions when they come in and distribute to a few people in and around the Raleigh, North Carolina area. I think I'm getting one to K2 Kevin from what I heard. And a few other people. So I'll basically kit up the bomb in a box type thing and get it sent out to everybody. And then look forward to a joint stream podcast type thing with Makesh and maybe a few others from Automated to talk about the auto eject. And if you don't know what I'm referring to, hey Musaka, how's it going? Welcome on in, and thank you for the subscription for 6 months in a row. That's awesome. So what we're doing, uh, Musaka, and for those of you that just came in, is we're building the RIFF. There's a 600 and a 900 size here. I'm building the 600. This is 300 millimeters by 600 millimeter build volume. And just by cutting these Y extrusions, so your 4 Y extrusions are either 775 millimeters for the 600 size, or they're 1075 millimeters if you're doing the 900 size. Of course, if you're doing the 900 size, you're also going to have to get larger linear rails as well. That information is or should be listed down here. Yeah, two 650 or two 950 for Y, depending on which sides you're building. Okay. There is a list of cut sizes down here for the main extrusions. When you start getting to the bed stuff, I think that gets added in down here. This is for the front extrusion and the rear extrusions. And then as he continues to build out, there will be the cross members for underneath the beds, but that will be dependent on which beds you use to get them in the right position front to back. But the automated, this is getting ready to launch on Kickstarter. I believe I saw it's going live on June 10th on Kickstarter. These are automation tools for multi-bed printing is basically what I'll say. So you can have a caddy over here on the side of your printer. It can be above your printer. It can be on a shelf underneath your printer. It's just, that's the nice thing about this. It's DIY, it's modular. You can move it around. The way he's been showing it off is kind of in this configuration where it's sitting to the right side of the printer. And what'll happen is you'll send your G code and you'll print a plate. Say I'm going to do 10 plates of maker chips, right? I'll send that to the printer and it'll know I'm going to iterate through 10 times. So it'll print plate 1, and when it's done, it comes to a pre-designated position at the end of G code, and it will notify the auto eject, which is got an SKR board running Clipper and a Raspberry Pi, so it's all running Clipper, and it will move over, line up the handle, and pick the plate up some, and then pull it forward onto these sets of rollers right here, and pull the plate off. Move back, raise up, and put it in the caddy. Pull back, drop down, grab the next plate that's free, and load that in the printer, and send another trigger signal to the printer to tell it to start the next print. So what this will allow you to do is, if you're a small print farmer and you're running off beds and beds and beds of little fidget toys or keychains or what have you, rather than having to sit there waiting for a print to finish or have downtime, like, oh, I got this started, this is going to be a 4-hour print, and I go to bed. I've now wasted 3 to 4 hours. I wasted a whole print cycle where the printer's sitting there cold and idle because I wasn't there to take the print off and swap the build plate out. This will do it for you, and it'll grab your plate, replace it, get it started. During the day, rather than have to sit there and tend to one or multiple printers, you can literally let it batch process. And the way I was talking about is, if you have your benches sitting side by side, right, and these things are creating the caddy trays, you can literally walk down the middle with a cart and a bucket, grab trays, knock everything off into different buckets based on what's printing, load your free plates back into the rack system, and it just keeps going and keeps recycling. So rather than being tied to changing out your printers, you can now schedule when you're going to go and don't have to break whatever task you're working on, right? So that's the cool thing about this system. Now, this is going Kickstarter. This is going to be DIY for, I'll say, smaller people. That's why they're using the extrusions, printed parts, and so forth. They are talking about also designing more robust size feature or more robust machines with like CNC parts down the road. But that's just something I wanted to show off because I'm helping with this project, and it's going to be really cool. And now, back to the RIFF, our regularly scheduled build out. So, yep, all the files are there. He uploads them. He's adding to this as he does his new videos. So you can see down here in video 3, we now have the gantry put on and all of that. So that's what we'll be doing. Like I said, I will need to print off the little stoppers at the end. And just pick a Voron. They've got the stoppers at the end that you can mount. And I'll do that. For now, because we've got this screwed down now, I'm going to take this tool, put it back in here so it's there when I need it again. And let's see, what's next? We need to oil this rail down so that it's nice like the other rail. And once again, I'm just putting a light coating of, this is sewing machine oil because I can't find my PTFE oil. I'm just doing like 1 drop between each screw head, and then I'll come back in with my finger and just wipe it down. Like I said, the whole purpose here is just to get some oil on the metal itself so that it does not continue to oxide or AKA rust. Because these are a black oxide rail. If you do wipe this rail down, and you will see what I mean. So, decently clean towel. I'm going to just gently wipe the top to take off some of that excess. Not going to do us much good. And you'll see what comes off on that. And like I said, that's just black oxide. That's the nature of this beast. One of the, and I'll say it depends. There's 2 different ways to do a black oxide coating, which is a rust preventative measure, which is basically you cause it to rust, and then you do an agent on it that stops the process. And that protects the rest of the metal from continuing to rust. One of them's kind of a dry method, and then the other one is oil. If they do an oil one, that's where you'll get, all right, let me see if I can get 2 of these out of here. Okay. Oh, and I'll let you describe or figure out which one of these is the cheaper method, right? So both of these screws are black oxide coated. The one on the left is the one I just got from Excel and is done with the dry method. The one on the right that looks sort of shiny is one I got from an LDO kit. And that's the one that was done in the oil method because you get a shinier finish that way. I'll let you figure out for yourself which one do you think is the better coating there. They both do relatively the same job, just one gives you a very much nicer finish. Okay, so we have an option. We can work on the X rail now, or we can work on the Y being the longer joint. I think that's where I'm going to work next. And that will involve us working on the beefy idlers. This does use a modified beefy idler setup. Modified because we're using 9mm belts on that Y axis because of the length. I'm sitting here going like, who is blowing up my phone? And it's Alexa telling me that there's bad weather in the area. It's been raining for 3 hours, so I'm glad she's finally letting me know that it's raining. But okay, and you'll notice that we haven't finished out the bed yet. I'm trying not to put a lot of weight down here, so it's easier to flip around if we need to flip it around. And I haven't locked these into place yet because I need to print the deck panels. And here's the thing. I've been trying to print them on the rat rig. And the left extruder, the primary extruder on my rat rig, excuse me, hot end, I'll say the whole hot end as a whole piece, the tool head, I'm getting some really, really funky stuff out of it. I've tried slowing it down and it was getting better. But yeah, the side plates will fit on the 300 bed. The center plates are just a little too big on a 300 bed to fit on the rat rig. So I'm going to have to do those over on the either one of two things. Either I print them in PETG because they're just deck panels. I can print them in PETG on this printer, or I need to use the 350 Trident. One way or the other. Humidity makes the dry oxide rust around here. Exactly. Exactly. And that's why a light layer of an oil. That's all you need to do. Send me an ACM panel for it. I'm not going to say no, Happy. I mean, yeah, I won't say no. What I need for you to do is account for like the cutouts where the motors will be and the center pieces, because I do have the triangle supports on the center pieces. Cool. I can do that, Happy. Are you in my channel on Discord as Happy Manufacturing? If so, I will reach out. Or if you can, just DM me, Digital Dragon 72 on Discord, and that way I can ping you right after the stream. So we got that done. What I want to do is mount our beefy idler housings. Okay, monolithic print here, makes it nice and easy. We're going to mount directly through the center there using M5 screws, one on both sides. And I think, well, let me double check. Might be using M5x8s on here instead of the 10s, but let me double check. I think those are bottoming out. Yeah, I need to use 8s. 10s would be too long. And what do I do with the 8s? They're right here. Huh. So M5x8s. A couple more of these M5 roll-in T-nuts. And okay. We'll do this with both of these T-nuts holes facing the back of the printer. And I'm not 100% sure on the spacing here. I think it's basically going to go with this tail end pretty much right in line with the edge there. Kind of what we did with the rails lining up with the Y motors at the back end. We'll get that mounted. And I just noticed that one side, this is not a symmetrical part, meaning one side is down more than the other. The good news, I think, is I think I have them in the right orientation. If not, we'll find out. Because once again, I do not have a CAD on this yet. I'm trying, but he doesn't want to release the CAD until everything's final, which I can understand. It's his design. I'm not going to badger him for it. He's been really, really good and answered all my questions and stuff so far, so. Da, 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 da. There we go. And I just heard Mrs. Dragon. We got a Mrs. Dragon sighting, y'all. Means we got coffee. Well, that's good. And how many spools of filament did I buy? 5? Oh. How many build plates? Just one? Oh, okay.
Oh,
cool.
I ordered 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you.
Welcome.
Let me grab my coffee. Oh, hey. Alexa said it's wet. She said it's raining. Just thought I'd let you know. That was what was missing. Now we have a full coffee and lube stream. Oh, that's awesome. Okay, so Beefy Idler's on. We still need to do our motors up here, and I happen to have a few. More. Once again, we're sticking with the tried and true Zephyr Motor Online. They're the 17HS15-1504S-X1. Buy them on Amazon in a pack of 5. So I got a bunch of them. Shoes. Exactly, Nick. Dinner sounds great. When are you making it? Hee. Okay. So because we're doing symmetrical Y motors, we're going to do our 9mm pulleys, of which I had spares from doing the drag racer. Oh, in which I'm going to have more spares because we're going to convert our drag racers to the direct drives. And I believe are these 2.0? Yes. And have these been? No. So these have not been Loctited yet. So we're going to use our Loctite. Once again, thank you, Steve Builds. I'm using the Loctite sticks. Make sure you get the blue Loctite and not the red Loctite. I mean, you can red Loctite it, just know that it's never ever coming apart. There's like no maintenance at that point. Because the only way you're getting the red Loctite off is to hot knife it, aka blowtorch. Coffee and lube stream. Just notice your shirt. Yep, that's, and this shirt is available on my Fourth Wall merch site. So I'll probably be doing stickers for this design as well, as much as my wife doesn't like that idea. I get to do some things that she doesn't like until she tells me otherwise. But yes, that was the ongoing joke is, you know, come join Dragon for coffee on Saturday mornings, and 9 times out of 10, there'll be some lube involved. As Liz knows that all too often. Because we're lubing our rods and bearings and carriages and the balls, and we tried very, very hard not to lose our balls, and let me tell you, these 650mm rails were a pain in the ass. Like normally I take the carriages off and I'm able to get them back on, not a problem. The 650mm rails were such a pain because you're trying to keep them exactly level as you're going in, and if you're off at any angle, it comes off. So I did have to use the little plastic carriages after I got everything lubricated to get the 650s back on, the black ones here back on. Okay, we do have 2 printed tools here. This one is X, which means this one is Y. And we'll use this for our setting our motor gap. Now, because these motors go upside down, we're going to have to peek at the video. Rails. Motors. And see, I almost forgot about the 625 bearings that go in there for double shear support. Probably would have noticed it, but okay, so large piece towards the bottom. good to know. So just push these down in the hole there. Got a little recess down there. We're going to put that in there and push it down. Make sure it fully seats down in there. And that'll give us our double shear on our motors. Come on, you. Work with me. Thank you. That's getting hot. Okay. And then based on what we saw on the motors, our pulleys are going to go on like this orientation. Yeah. So those 9mm are not going to work because those are sized for a 3mm motor shaft. So here I am thinking I'm good to go on 9mm pulleys. I believe I do have 9mm pulleys though elsewhere, so let me double check. If not, we might not be able to install the motors and the belts and stuff there. Means we'll move on to something else. Millimeter 6mm standard. Ruh-roh, George. I'm going to need to order some 9mm pulleys. Come on, I should have extras. -92. No. I will have to look for 9mm pulleys. You have the 9mm idlers, but apparently I might not have the pulleys. That stinks. Ay, 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 ay. No. Not there. All right, I have exhausted the initial possibility, so yep, I'll just order some. It'll be the quickest and easiest way rather than trying to dig through the Dragon Den on stream and try and find 9mm pulleys. Because the other ones I just found were standard 6mm pulleys. So, yep, and those won't work because they're 6mm, not 9mm. All right, so 9mm pulleys. Give me 1 second and I will Apparently, I ordered 10 of them in April. And they're a month to deliver. Yeah, no. We'll have to figure that one out. We'll figure that one out. We'll work on the idlers next then. The where you can find your bearings. Sorry, I'm just trying to figure out. Do you just say a 16 millimeter M5? All right. I do have a bunch of M5 rods, but I don't think they're 16 millimeter. We can do a bolt because this part does have a provision for a button head bolt that basically you're using as a spacer and just dropping in. So you need an M5 by 16 button head. Which I don't have sitting right there. M5 by 16 button head. 3, 3, 3s and 2s. Right, that would be over here. Not 16. $20 millimeter. 20 millimeter looks like it fits. Starts to. Here we go. So, I'm going to put that through the bolt there. Or put the bolt through the idler, line it up, and push it into the part. Make sure our idler spins. Now, a little bit of up-down movement there. I kind of want to put a washer on those M5s. Preferably, you'd use a M5 precision shim, but and I know I have some around here. I just am not going to go digging to find them. Because our theme so far has been pretty much red and black, I'm going to try and find my black ones. Would love to use black M5 by 20s, but I just don't have any. I think what we'll want is kind of one above, one below. Find the right spot for everything to go. That doesn't spin nearly as freely. I mean, it's spinning, but it's not spinning nearly as freely. I'll take the one out of the bottom. We'll just leave the one at the top to tighten it up some. So it spins freely. Not nearly as much play anymore. So there we go. One at the top, and only one at the top. So bolt, washer, and our idler. Grab the other printed part. And there we go. So we got those two done. And these need regular M5 nuts in them. And what size M5 screws are we going to need to attach these? So I'm not sure how big he said those bolts were. Not sure how long they're supposed to be. Let's take a look at what I got as far as length goes, especially in my button heads. Those are M5s. I have some M5 by 30s. Alexa, stop. We'll grab some M5 nuts. Once again, if I have the black hardware, I'm going to use it. 4 of them. So button head wise, I have M5 by 30s. So we'll use those. And if they prove to be too long, then we'll switch over to something else. So there's those. These in. And I went with some different color front pieces just because. Now, if these aren't long enough, we'll still be good because I do have some 35s over there that we can work. So if these wind up not being long enough to get any real tension into them, then we'll switch over to the 35s, which might be longer. And yeah, we're going to go into 35s. Grab some 35s. Thought those were button heads, but those are not button heads, so they're socket heads. We have to order some button head M5 by 35s rather than have these big old bolts sticking out the front, or bolt heads sticking out the front. Oh, hey, Built Bot. I didn't even see you come in. I apologize for not saying something to you sooner. Welcome in, Bob. Hope you're having a great night. And I haven't bought it by the barrel, but I do have a big tube of it, like a caulking gun tube, of the EP2 Mobilux. Now, I could probably do M5 by 40 if I have them and get full length. I do have M5 by 40s. Looky there. Well, how about we do that? You know, a little bit of trial and error. Never hurt anybody, right? I mean, that's kind of what we do here is just try things out and keep trying things out and keep trying things out until we figure it out, right? All right. We'll take that. We'll load it in the edge here. Flip it the right way. It's going easier that way. Come on. Gets us most of the way there. Is there a, yeah, I guess that would work too. It helps to put all the parts in the right way. Like there literally is a left and a right here. And I'm being the idiot that can't seem to get it all right. So put these back over here. These were 35s. Pull the 40s and we'll just turn the piece around. This is all we needed to do. And the parts do have directionality. So this side, you'll see that there's kind of a little groove right here. And this needs to line up with that little groove. On the other side, you'll see we've got a wider groove here and a wider stop in there. So this is the inside edge of the printer, regardless of which orientation the idler's in. Put it in that way. Everything will slip in together quite nicely. To include the there we go. Come on. You can do it. All right, well, maybe we could have gotten away with 35s because now these are hitting. Yeah. All right, so 35s are the magic number, apparently. So I'll take these back out, hold my head down in shame, grab the other bolts again. And once again, these are still within the confines of the printer, but everything else has been button heads so far, so I'll have to get some button heads, M3x35s, preferably in a black tone, so that it's matching all the other fasteners on the printer. Because I really do try and keep all the fasteners the same color. Either they're all going to be stainless steel or they're all going to be black oxide, but every once in a while you just have to mix and match to get things going, much as it sets off things. All right, so we have our front idlers on. We can't do our Y motors just yet. Put it on there just so that they're out of my way. Then I will promptly forget that I did that and knock these off later on, but that's okay. Let's go ahead and do our Y rails. Now on our Y rails, there's two different styles of Y rails, right? One has one kickoff, the other has a kickoff on each side. This is the motor side, and let me see, this is the front side. The motor side is going to go over here, and your belt clips go on the inside. So that would go like that. And this one will go like this. Once again for our Y rail. So I'm going to clean up the garbage in these holes. Probably a better tool for that than that. Oh, and I believe if everything works out right, I should have a Prusa Core 1 kit very soon. Okay. It is in country, if what I'm being told is truthful. So we should have a Prusa Core 1 kit here in the very near future. We'll have that build. We'll have the rebuild of the 0G Mercury 1 to do. And that's the big boy. That's the Ender 5 plus size 0G Mercury 1. Hello, Free Heathen. How are you doing today, sir? I hope you're doing well. So we've got our front idlers on. We've got our Z rods in place. We're adding the mounts for our X axis now. Trying to clean up these holes a bit. There's and like I said, we've got a Prusa Core 1 kit that is pending arrival. We have the Ender Zero. God, the Voron V0 at Ecovate we're going to work on. We have an Ender 5 at Ecovate we're going to work on for some people. There's a 2.4 sitting there that they're trying to get me to work on because they know I'm a nut for Vorons. And they know if they just leave it there long enough that I will work on it. Don't know how they know that, but I think they've figured out the dragon. Modlight. You just coming back, Modlight, or you just been quiet? Or no, actually, you're just coming in. It was Timor that was there at the very beginning. So this is the RIFF 600 for those that are just following or coming in. This is a 300 in X, 600 in Y. There is a version of this that can be done as a 900, which is basically using three 300 millimeter build plates. All you're doing is making these Y rails another 300 mil longer, and your linear rails another 300 mil longer, and you can run it that way. Okay, so we got these on. We've got our motor mount. We've got our idler. So I'm going to have to listen in on how we get our idler set up here. x-axis. Oh. Sorry about that. Those. I don't have those printed, so I'm going to have to try and get those printed up. And I also don't think I have that rail cut. I'm going to need to cut a rail. I'm going to need to print those 2 offset idlers. Buffering, so pause that. Yeah, because he never says what size to cut that X rail to. Ay, 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 ay. This is length for Y. This is the length for the X cross members. 2 2020s for the bottom, 2 40/50s or 20/40s for the top. 6 for the upright. All right. Well, let's go into measuring time. I'm going to slide these back to the bumpers so they should be lined up. And I'm going to make an assumption that we're basically going carriage to carriage right here. I'm going to need a 400 millimeter cut piece of 2020. We are still up, right? No drop frames. I don't know why the video stopped. All right, cool. Thanks for Ethan. I don't know why the video is stopping, but I think I'm going to need like a 400 mil 2020 cut. And I've got 2020 here, but the 2020 I had been cutting, I left at Echovate, and I didn't think to have Mrs. Dragon bring it back with her. But, ooh. What do I have over here? Do I have anything too small, too small, too small? Those are too small. So I know I have some 500 mil sticks over there I can cut down, but I don't know why this video is hanging. My assumption is we're putting a screw through here, 2 through on this side, coming up underneath. So I need to go basically from here to here. And this piece is an idler piece that's going to sit like that coming through the top. This piece is going to be the motor piece sitting over here going through the. There will be I believe an M4 nut that comes through this into that. So that's going to cap it like that. So if this can go 2 and this can go 2. Might be longer than 400. Let me. That there. That one basically lining up right over the top. To get to that second one over there, or 430 millimeter. I'm going to have to ask him about that because I don't see that listed anywhere here. Yeah, we're gonna have to ask B4 Projects here what the length of the X linear rail is. Thinking right now it's looking like 430 mil, but you have risen like a phoenix. Awesome, Pez. Awesome, awesome. But yeah, so far we're building out good here. I think I have hit a stopping point. I need thrush washers, which are on order. They'll be here tomorrow, so I can do the 4 lower motors and get those finished. I need to print a couple of parts for the idler brackets here. And because this one is the shorter piece for the spherical bed mounts. So these will get screwed on and sit on there one way or the other, right? Like I tried it. So that's the other bed mount. Bed mount, here's our 4 attachments for our Z lead screws. I think I may be at a stopping point though, unless there was parts in here that I missed. Nope. So these cutting and drilling jigs, this jig here allows you to line up 4 extrusions and cut them at the same time, whether it's 2020 or 2020 or 2040. And then you'll use this jig lined up at the end here and then fastened down with an M5 bolt to drill M3 pilot holes in your Y rails here. And then you'll take those M3s and turn them into M5s for doing the blind joints. That works out really well. So yeah, I need to find my other 9mm belt because I ordered a bunch. Those look to be the right ones that were, actually, let me double check. Were those, yeah, for Voron 2.4, that means they've got to be able to go on to a motor pulley. I ordered 10 of them. Pretty sure I wouldn't have used all 10, so I got to find out where those are at. If not, I'll have to order some. We've got our beefy idlers in place. What else? What else? What else? What do we say? We're waiting on thrust bearings, which will be here tomorrow. We can then put in the lead screws and stuff like that and get those done. We need to figure out the length of the X-rail so that we can cut that and we can mount that. We need to print a few parts. I need one more spacer for my flush washers, or for my thrust washer bearings, thrust bearings, washers, whatever. And I'll do skirts whenever I have time to do skirts. That will be a later me issue. And I think we're done. You got question, if I convert my Ender 3 into a Ender 3 IDEX, would I be able to run the 2 extruders on Clipper? Yes, Clipper does support IDEX. We're doing that right now on the Rat rig, right? It's running Clipper. Rat OS is Clipper with a bunch of wrapper stuff around it. So that does support IDEX. We have it running IDEX right now. I just had a thought real fast, sorry. Apparently it was a fleeting thought because I didn't find what I thought I might find. Oh, that might be useful. Yeah. Now the question would be, is an Ender 3 worth it as an IDEX? Because of the build volume. Because remember, if you're doing 2 prints side by side, you only have the capacity of half the build plate minus half the width of your tool head. Right? Because it's got to have the ability to move to the far right edge of a print without hitting the print that you're doing a copy, or worse, mirror mode on, where they're coming together and going out like this versus traveling together like this in copy mode. Sorry. Yeah, Clipper supports IDEX all day, every day. It's just, oof, that was almost bad. Let me close this so I don't catch that little latch again and then have to spend all evening picking up screws again. Yeah, Clipper does support it all day, every day. The what? Yeah, you just have to be careful of your overall width of the build plate that you're going to have available at that point. Yeah, I think that's kind of where we're at the moment. I don't want to get started on another project at this point, just because, well, the other project's going to be building something large. And that's either building the frame for the Ender 5G, or excuse me, building the Nebula frame for the 0G Mercury 1, that's the Ender 5 size, so big, right? So I don't want to do that and have two big, huge builds going at the same time. My casa enclosure came today. I don't think I'm going to be able to build it up here because I won't be able to get it through the door. I'm going to have to probably build that in place in the shed, and I will film that. Though I might have a portable rig set up here real soon. And by portable rig setup, I mean I've got two cables over there that are supposed to work with my Comica mic, and they're USB to the mic jack. And if I can get audio that way on the MacBook, excuse me, then we'll be able to take the MacBook out there and set it up, and that would be a prototype for running a stream at a show. Okay, so that'll be something cool. Meaning the ability to stream. We'll build that enclosure out there and get the Milo mini mill enclosed. Don't know if they'll stay there or if they'll move into the garage once I clear out the plane project and do things in the garage, but we'll have to wait and see. We'll get it built out there where I know I have 20 amp service, and that'll give us a chance to play around and cut some metal. We have the casa enclosure that just came in. We've got the 0G rebuild. That's going to be the full Nebula frame. CNC top gantry with 9mm belts based on a turtle crawler mod. There'll be a special tool head that'll go in that. What else? We've got the Prusa Core 1 kit that is inbound. That's something that we can do here, definitely. If I am not asked to do it at Ecovate. If I'm asked to do it at Ecovate, then I will stream from the store. Hey, Waters, how's it going? You got in at the last minute. The very last minute. If you give the new... I have not, Waters. I got to find it. I know it's in a box somewhere. It wasn't in, or at least I did not see it in the box of joy that you gave me with all the boards in it. So I'm wondering if I tossed it in my toolbox, and I need to look at that. So there should be, near the back door of the store, there should be a box of 2020 extrusion. I need to get that the next time I'm there. And yeah, I got a bunch of things I need to work on. I need some organization in the Dragon Den. That's what I need. Because I'm stuck. I can't do the motor pulleys here because I can't find them. I mean, I bought a 10-pack of them in April, and I don't think I would be using 10 9mm pulleys, but it might have. I will look in that bag as well. You also set up a screen on the Merc, and it doesn't have clipper screen installed yet. I think Mukesh left some behind. So I left 2020 like in a box. It's like I think 1000mm 2020 sticks that I left in the back when I was cutting the other day. Oh, ad break ends in a minute. We'll have to wait for that discussion. Hey Cloud Hammer, how's it going? Yeah, I just have a couple of projects going on, and that also includes finishing out a V0 build for somebody at Ecovate, and Sandhills 3D brought in an Ender 5 that just needs some TLC, and I will probably do some TLC on it. So it's an Ender 3 Waters. So yeah, I left some 1000mm, I think it was 1000mm long 2020 black rail at the store. It's back by the the door by the maintenance area. So I have to grab that. But I'm working on the V0 there. There's an Ender 5 that came in that needs some work on. There's a Raise 3D that needs some work on. So just a few projects to keep me busy. Yes, that is true. The index does look interesting. I don't know how you would, like, the index is something you might be able to convert to. Okay, I'll just say, here's the tool rail. Tool rail can go all the way back, or I can move these forward a bit and stop it early. And there's a spot for a whole lot of tools like index back here. Just saying, I may have some perpy seed. I am waiting to hear back from Bondtech. Don't know. And I got the co-print. I think the co-print's destined to go on the CR10 though. Uh-oh. Okay, my light. Yeah, I'd love to try that out. I don't know if I'm going to get invited for that or not. Be great if so. I was talking with Beverly now that she's back from parading around Amsterdam, and there may be a few other things that way as well. Yes, they do, Waters. They look really good, but I think that works better on a, I'll say a Core XY with a fixed gantry, something like this setup, where you can set all your tools up. Your gantry stays at the same height, so you're not having to raise and grab and raise and grab. And that will also reduce the size of like your PTFE tubes and all that good stuff. So maybe. So yeah, there are options there is what we're going with. But yeah, I need to look into this. I may need to make these a little bit longer or print them out of something else. Um, this is here just to support the top plate setup for the deck plate. I know, what's his name? Happy Manufacturing offered to to cut me an ACM panel for this, so that would be great. Uh, I would I would do the Ender 3 NG over the Additiva XY because that Additiva Ender XY is sitting there until I get the next G kit from Fabrico, whenever that happens, and it will get torn down and repurposed. Yeah, stock Ender 5 should be able to take index well. Rather than the tool head being on this side, the tool head is technically on the back side. So that's not that big of a. Yeah, NG seems to be a very stable build at this point, and seeing some of the builds that Armor 3D's done, they're beautiful. Oh, I know the Ender 3 is a Core XY. But what I'm saying is the Additiva 3D Ender XY kit, you know, this thing is going to sit here. I'm not going to touch it again until I get my Ender 3 NG kit. And then I will take this apart, and that will be the donor frame for the Ender 3 NG. You did 2 of the Additivas and regret it? Yeah. I've tried to revive that one twice, and every time it something else happens, and I'm like, that thing's cursed, it's done. The frame will come into something else. Yeah, the bed flops. We did the triple lead screw update on it, and then the tool head broke, and I was like, I'm done. I'm done messing with it. Okay, Waters. The black 2040 extrusions, I cut those. That's for another auto eject kit. There is a box, skinny box, meter long, sitting up against the wall in the back as you're going out the door to exit for the night. Or at least there was. It had like 4, 5, 6 sticks still in it. Those were mine. So the triple lead screw mod helped. However, once again, the tool head broke on me and I'm done. You'll look when you're in tomorrow? Okay, well, what if I beat you in? It's a nondescript cardboard box. Hopefully nobody grabbed it and said, oh, this isn't that heavy, and threw it away. You'll still look, well, if I beat you in, then I'll move it just to mess with you. Hey, there's Happy again. Yeah, it was just you and Bev. Yeah. Well, I am feeling a little bit better today. I still have a bit of a cough, but as long as I'm still feeling better tomorrow, then I will I'll swing over there and I'll work out of the office, or I'll work out of the office. I'll work out of the store tomorrow. And we're making progress on coins, but I've got to get my coins done, and then we got to work on Mrs. Dragon's coins. These things feel like there's a ton of static electricity on them or something when you're trying. Like, I haven't gotten shocked, but that's what it feels like. It's like there's static or suction or something on them. Like, nothing's sticking. It all comes right off. But if you try and pull it across, it feels like there's a texture, yeah. Like, that's the hardest part to get off. But slight flex, that pops off. Now look at that. Love that raindrop effect. So that's the one side. And then that's the other side. So I'm going to flip over and do this side next. But I think you're not supposed to wash these off with alcohol, right? I'm going to have to take this down and hand wash it with some soapy water because there's fingerprints from, popping prints off before I start the next one. The plates do build static. Okay, that seems like it. You did ASA on your Ender 3v2 with a bag over it. Yeah, I did it with a pop-up enclosure. Wham Bam pop-up enclosure. You just bought an A5M Pro, to be honest. Well, and you bought the A5M Pro, which I still think is weird. Bev did too. But but that was also to give an excuse to unbox it while what's his name was there so he can play with it, right? While Makesh was there. Oh yeah, microtexture is still texture. Yep. And like I said, those, I like how they come out shiny with that little bit of like glass sheen. And then you get the effect when you get them in the light. That is pretty cool. I was skeptical, and then as soon as I got one print with it, I was like, okay. I told Mrs. Dragon, he grabbed another one for the other X1 with a different pattern set on it, and then I asked her to buy 2 more plates at 300 size. Yeah, we needed 2 plates either way. Yep. And then I also have, because I did get this one. I haven't even taken it out of the wrapper yet. I got this one for the K1C. So it's got the triangles on one side and the carbon fiber on the other. So that'll go on the K1C. But folks, that's kind of all I have for the night. I'm going to, like I said, wash that plate so I can flip it over and use the other side and go find the other plate that Mrs. Dragon had. I need to print out a couple of parts and fix the other X1C. So Dragoon 1 just did the same thing that Dragoon 2 did, which is the conch hot end. Whoops. And so yeah, this is one of my conchs. and you'll see that it is full to the brim. Well, the other one just did it as well. I think what happened is the door shut completely while I was printing the PLA because I was doing some coins, and it completely stacked. So I need to find my other hot end. Okay. My other stock hot end and swap it out, although I did just reach over there and realize, do I have, what the hell's going on? There we go. See? That way? Ooh. Or maybe I just put the other conch hot in because I forgot I had another conch hot end that came in with my Christmas gift from Fadus. Maybe we'll just swap out another conch hot end, or I'll just grab a standard stock one and throw it in there. Yeah, it does say when printing with an enclosed printer, leave the front door or the top cover open. And like I said, I have a feeling that the door just shut on me and I wasn't paying attention. So, yep. Excuse me. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I squirrel all the time. I squirrel all the time. And yeah, I do have I do have the socks on them. I do have the socks, and you know, I got some casting silicone so I can make some socks myself now. All right, sounds good, Monlight. But yeah, I'll either put this one in. I just have to put the I just have to put a heater and stuff, and I can just take it off the other one and put it on here. But I need to get the other one up and running so we can start running some coins, and that's been the one I've been doing ABS on. So, yep, we'll get it going. But thank you everybody for being here. No, the socks you wear. I got socks. They're the ankle socks, but I got socks. And some really, really white legs. Need to get out, touch some grass, see some sun. All right, folks. That being said, I'm going to, let's see, who can we raid into? I don't know if I can raid into Joel two days in the same week. It might really, really throw him off. Let's see who's running. Well, good. Polymaker is not on. It's early and Big Jano is not on. Any suggestions? Joel's done? Yep, he's done. All right, see you later, Timor. Take it easy. I don't know if Keela's streaming tonight. She was over here earlier and I'm following her, but I'm not seeing her on. So if she's streaming, she's not on yet, which would be weird. So let's yeah. Let's so Cyber Jewels is, let's see, breaking the Elgato module. Sounds fun. Yeah, I haven't seen her start yet. I haven't seen her start, and I haven't seen her announce either. So, all right. For now, we're going to go ahead and I will jump over. Let's go over to Cyber Jewels. And he's working on some electronic stuff, trying to break something. That's always good. We like to break things as well. But thanks everybody for being here. Please come with me as we go on this raid over to Cyber Jewels. Excuse me. And I'm sure I will see you guys later on tonight on the interwebs through various streams. Once I get my head back on straight and grab something to eat, I'll be back online checking people out. So thanks everybody for coming along on this project. It'll be a little slow going as we run through this, but we're getting close. And I will see you guys Saturday. Yeah. Not sure where we're going to be streaming Saturday, but we will stream somewhere Saturday, right? Time may shift some. I don't know. We'll see about that. We may be going down and doing some work at an offsite location. So take care, everybody. I will see you again soon. Bye now. And for those of you that are watching this on YouTube, thank you so much for sticking around to the end of the video. If you like what you see, please be sure to like and subscribe below. Be sure to check that bell to be notified of future videos. And speaking of future videos, YouTube's going to be suggesting one. Thank you and have a great